Now we have the Bunnahabhain 1988 New Acquaintance. This is a stunning bottle of Islay single malt whisky, distilled obviously at Bunnahabhain distillery on the island of Islay, off the west coast of Scotland. Traditionally, whisky from this island is very smoky, very peaty, so like Lefroy, Ardbeg, Bowmore, Lagavulin, real kind of big hitters of the industry all on this one tiny island. Bunnahabhain is a bit of a, not a black sheep, but kind of different in the fact that they are not as reliant on peated whiskies. They do have some smokier expressions. This one doesn't have that at all, so it'll be a good taste of the Islay character without smoke, just like contradiction. What's your thoughts on Bunnahabhain in general, Kieran? One you've had before? I
generally quite like Bunnahabhain. I've had a few from their sort of current core range, which have all been very appealing to me. And as you said, you can tell there's that maritime character, that salinity sometimes comes through, which you'd expect from a coastal whisky, but it's not peaty, it's not smoky, generally.
Yeah, it's a bit like a naked Islay whisky.
One way of thinking of it, yeah.
One way of thinking of it. So let's open this one up and give it a try. As I say, distilled 1988 and bottled in 2019, so just over 30 years it's had in the cask. So yeah, should be a lovely one. Let's see what we've got. So let's take the foil off this one.
It's one of the most satisfying noises in the world,
that
isn't
pop.
it?
That's good. Let's give this a little pour. Right, let's give this a try. For me, for a 30-year-old whiskey, surprisingly pale.
Yeah, that was my immediately thought. It's that sort of a slightly deeper straw kind of colour. You'd maybe expect a bit more, but
yeah, absolutely. And obviously, there's nothing wrong with ex-bourbon casks.
No.
That's what we industry uses 95% of the time. So, in a way, we said before about looking for this naked Islay characteristic, and I think in a way, it's almost a good thing that there's not going to be too much overbearing cask influence. If this was an ex-sherry butt or some mad cask, we'd lose some of that spirit character. So even though it's had 3 decades in wood, hopefully we can pick up some of that distillery DNA. So let's give it a try.
Cool.
Cheers.
Cheers.
On the nose, anything jumping out?
A slight vinegary note, which is a good thing for me.
Right.
Generally appeals to my kind of palate.
Love your fish and chips.
Yeah, it's something that sort of like makes me go, pulls my cheeks in a wee bit. I haven't even put it in my mouth yet. So it's.
Yeah, I think it's not giving much away on the nose for me. It is quite kind of austere, quite reserved. It does seem to be holding back a little bit. It's 45% strength, this one, so there shouldn't be too much of that alcoholic prickle on the nose. But let's give it a taste and see if it opens up at all.
Well, the body on that's fantastic. You can almost feel it like coating my teeth. Really nice and oily. It's
absolutely.
Really nice.
I think in terms of my personal taste, I find younger Bunnahabhain a bit raw. I'm still not sure I love the sort of harsh, the coastal salinity and that kind of saltiness you sometimes get. So to have a Bunnahabhain that's had 3 decades of mellowing out and maturing, for me it's turned out to a completely different whiskey. Really nice, really smooth, very mellow, very drinkable. Would you say kind of balanced for me is the main thing?
Yeah, actually I'd agree with that. There's not like one dominating flavour, but there's also no off notes at all. Like everything's sort of kind of singing in a nice harmony. There is like a bit of like a orangey, citrusy note coming through. And that sort of, again, maltiness seems a bit vague when you're talking about whiskey, but there is like a slight biscuity element to it, which I really enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's, I don't know, I'm just trying to see, I think if somebody gave me this and I didn't know it was Islay, Is there enough of that Islay DNA that jumps out and shouts at me, this is an Islay whiskey? I'm not. It's very nice. I'm enjoying it. But could I identify it as Islay or even a coastal or an island whiskey? I'm not so sure. But in terms of what it is, it's a lovely drop. It's, I think if somebody said to me, what does good whiskey taste like? This is a good example. There's no gimmicks, there's no heavy peat influence, there's no overbearing cask influence. It's just a good, solid whiskey. Yeah,
I'd say it's a bit of an all-rounder in some ways. It's one I wouldn't shy away from recommending to someone to try whiskey for the first time, but also I wouldn't be embarrassed to give it to my whiskey geek friends either. Yeah. So it's a good one for that. Yeah, no, it's a good all-rounder and a lovely drop, I would say. Good stuff.